welcome in to a fully loaded PHNXDbacks show. My name is Derek Montilla, formerly known as the mayor of PHNX. It's still sad. I don't have an identity without that title.
We came to a revelation today.
That's right.
This morning, do you know who currently is the active mayor of PHNX?
Right now, in this moment, at this time, on what are we, January 12th or June 12th, 2023.
Jesse Friedman.
Yeah, active mayor of PHNX.
Wait, actually?
Jesse Friedman.
How did that happen?
Shane had his wisdom teeth taken out this morning. And as you might know, when a president undergoes like major medical things and are not, completely there, like when presidents get colonoscopy.
Correct. While he's under surgery, they step away
the
from
vice
the
president
title.
Becomes the active president.
Yeah. So Jesse Friedman,
you are the active president.
You're active mayor of PHNX.
Somehow, so I was the vice president all along.
You were the vice mayor. What do you mean?
Oh, well, I sort of assumed that when you lost your mayorship, I lost my vice mayorship.
We protected that.
Yeah, it was never part of the deal.
Remember, it's like the way that Totri wanted fucking Burrito Express bi-weekly and he didn't know what bi-weekly meant. Now he has to wait and get it once every 2 weeks. But welcome into the PHNXDbacks show. Like I said, I'm Derek Montilla. This is Mr. Electric, Shawn, and that is your mayor of PHNX, Jesse Friedman. So it's a good day. And it's a good day to be an Arizona Diamondbacks fan. They continue to lead the National League West, completing the 3-game sweep of the Detroit Tigers and going undefeated on their 5-game now road trip through DC and Detroit. And, we were very impressed about what the Diamondbacks have done so far, especially considering their schedule. We knew that they did a good job. We've talked about them doing a good job against opponents they should beat. This is different, though. This is a road trip. You can kind of forgive losses on road trips. You understand, especially when you have a 8:35 a.m. start or whatever on a Sunday for Diamondbacks fans here in Phoenix. But man, this team just does not quit. Even when their ace, Zach Gallen, doesn't have his best outing or possibly one of his worst outings of the year. I don't know. I just say that because it's the Tigers, but the team still is able to have his back and somehow come back and answer back.
Yeah, I mean, it was not a good day for Zach Gallen. And I kind of shudder to think of what that day would have looked like if he hadn't been pitching against the Tigers. He might have very well could have been knocked out of this game sooner and given up even more damage than he did. But yeah, yesterday's game, the Sunday game, was like, all right, the D-backs have had basically everything going for them for so long. Yeah. Like at some point you were due to lose with your ace on the mound against a bad team or just have one of those days, one of those things that just happens in this sport. And yet the Diamondbacks down 5-2 going to the 8th inning, storm back and score 5 runs as they have done a number of times this season. And somehow we're talking about a sweep in a series that I think everyone would still be pretty content if the D-backs had taken 2 out of 3 in that series and gone 4-1 on the road trip. But the Diamondbacks right now seem content with nothing other than basically winning every single game, which is somehow what they've been doing for a little while now.
Yeah. I mean,
does Gallen's downward trajectory over his last few games concern you, or do you think that this is just kind of what happens throughout the season?
Yeah, I mean, it's not encouraging by any means, but I mean, he's if there was anyone that you want going through tough times, or if there's anyone you have the most trust to bounce back from tough times, it's Zach Gallen. So I'm not really it's concerning in the sense that you would rather him not be doing this, and if he keeps doing it, it'll get to a point where it's concerning. But I'm not worried that this is the new Zach Gallen or anything like that. I just think this happens. To expect him to be one of the top 3 pitchers, basically nonstop for 2 straight years, is unrealistic.
They had a good game plan going against him. Zach Gallen has been attacking the zone. We know that he doesn't really walk anyone, and of course that means looking for him to get ahead early, and that's what the Tigers did. I do like the fact that even though he blew up there early in the game, he did continue to pitch and he settled in and he was able to be effective. He just early on they jumped on him.
He had 17 whiffs in the game, which is actually really good. That's a pretty good game for Zach Gallen or for any pitcher really. But yeah, his stuff was clearly not the same. He averaged 92 with his 4-seam fastball. I went back and looked at his game log. I don't think Zach Gallen's 4-seamer has averaged that low in a regular season game since September of 2021. So it's been a while since we've seen Zach Gallen's stuff down that much. Granted, it's not like it was 89 or anything. I mean, it wasn't alarming. It was 1.5 miles per hour lower than his season average. But yeah, clearly something wasn't right. You wonder if maybe it was partially due to the fact that for some reason we were playing baseball at 8:30 a.m. Arizona time yesterday.
What the hell?
I'm not even normally awake on a Sunday morning at
I
8:30
overslept.
a.m.
Jesse was awake. I overslept. I was the one that
Yeah.
overslept this time.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe that would mess with his rhythm to a certain degree, kind of mess with his preparation a little bit.
Yeah.
He also has just not been good on the road, even as he has been really good this season. Pretty much all of his clunkers have come on the road, and that trend continued yesterday.
We don't talk enough about, or we often let Zach Gallen off the hook when he has a bad outing, and we say, like, obviously this isn't Zach Gallen, and he does usually bounce back. But a guy that we constantly kind of are looking out for to see if, you know, if this might be the end of his tenure in the starting rotation is Ryan Nelson. And Ryan Nelson was very, very good against the Tigers. And I mean, if you look at his outings this season, I mean, I know he's struggled at times, but Nelson has been a fairly competitive starter for this team, and he's given them more good outings, I'd say, than bad. I mean, he has his clunkers as well, and he's still a young pitcher adjusting to the major leagues. But I feel like Ryan Nelson is getting to the point where, much like Tommy Henry, I'm starting to ease out of that. When are we going to possibly see a change? And thinking these guys might, you know, be the solid back end guys for this rotation.
Yeah, I mean, especially because we know that they plan on being aggressive at the deadline. If they get into the starter, then you'd have to assume that Nelson's probably the one that gets pushed out of that 5-man rotation. But like, it is nice knowing that, okay, if something happens and you need another starter to come in there, he's like doing okay enough where if he is your fifth and a half starter, like, it's not the worst situation to be in. Yeah. So obviously I'm not at the point yet where I'm like, we don't need to trade for anybody at the deadline if they want to win a World Series. Like, I don't think he's quite there yet, but like I said, I think it's nice to have him kind of, to know that you have somebody who, if anything goes wrong with anybody or there's an injury or anything like that, it's not going to be like, again, like I feel like I mentioned this last week, it's not going to be Madison Bumgarner where you're like, okay, that's probably a loss. Like, he's going to give up 5 runs in the first inning.
It feels like so long ago.
The fact that it was this season,
like 3 seasons ago.
The fact that it was this season is ridiculous.
I mean, my God, the Diamondbacks have won 40 games now this season, and that's just crazy considering we were at a point where Madison Bumgarner was costing them essentially an opportunity to win a game every 5 days when his spot in the rotation would come up. And now even when we look at what Ryan Nelson and Tommy Henry and even Brandon Pfaadt did in his time when he was up, it's still much better than, you know, what we were dealing with Mad Bum on the mound.
It's not saying much.
I know. But I mean,
there's a difference between like
due.
Going into a game and thinking, okay, at least we have a chance, and being like, okay, if
this
we win, it's going to be an act of God.
Yeah. There's a big difference between a 10 ERA and even like a 5 ERA, right? There's a huge difference between those numbers. And yeah, I mean, we talked about in our show on Friday that this start for Ryan Nelson was important. Yeah. You know, the D-backs, even if they do make a move at the trade deadline, as you mentioned earlier, you know, there's some time between now and then. Like, we still have a month plus to go before the D-backs could really get serious about a trade like that, most likely. And in the meantime, even if Ryan Nelson isn't a long-term answer in the rotation this year, you still want to see him go out and succeed and give you a chance to win these games. It would have been nice if he'd been able to finish that 6th inning. He sort of ran out of steam at the end, but 5 2/3, 4 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. I mean, you'll take that from your number 5 starter any day.
Can I give you guys just a fact that I know you know, but I just really want it to resonate with you about how far this team has come in such a short amount of time? They won 52 games in 2021. That is 12 games away from where they are currently at on Monday, crazy. June 12th.
With the way they've been playing, we could catch that in 2 weeks.
They could easily catch the win total from 2021 in no time.
They would have to go 12 and 85 the rest of the way to have the same.
What are you doing?
What are you
doing?
Derek, we're not.
Why did you pull that stat?
I'm not taking.
That's
I'm
the
not
other direction.
That is
the direction I wanted to go.
For that to be a curse.
Oh man! But this was we talked about. Whenever we do these wrap up or recap kind of episodes talking about a series, we say that the series looked much closer than it actually was or whatever. But in this case, I don't know. The Diamondbacks kind of took this series, I think, handedly, even with that last game being a comeback win that was fairly close. But let's take a look at the numbers from this series, because you'll see here Diamondbacks just kind of killed it in this one, right? I mean, starting pitching ERA significantly lower than the Tigers. Relief pitching ERA, come on. The bullpen, give it up. Ladies and gentlemen, the bullpen, 2.83 ERA. And they finally are hitting with runners in scoring position. I just, this was, you know, we've talked about them having complete games. This was a complete series where not only did they win games in this series by a wide margin, but that Sunday game was just unforgettable because that's the type of thing that makes the players, not so much us as fans, maybe it changes us as fans, but it makes the players believe they can win any game no matter how much they're down by.
Yeah, and the bullpen played such an enormous role in that game too. I mean,
Scott McGough, baby.
Scott McGough continues
put on the Luther Vandross.
Oh my gosh, continues to be just incredible at the back end of this bullpen for the D-backs, and the bullpen was incredible this entire road trip. Really, I mean, 5 games. The D-backs bullpen did not allow a run in any of those games except for one, and that was the game that they won 11-6. So they had some leeway in that game. Yeah. Outside of that, this bullpen has been completely lights out since what happened in that series finale against Atlanta, and it's really changing a narrative here for this franchise. I mean, the bullpen has been such an issue for this team over the last few years, and this season it really has changed. I mean, I know the D-backs have more upgrades that they can make at the trade deadline,
sure,
but it's already pretty decent. At this point, a lot of the guys who really struggled in the bullpen this season are not on this roster anymore, right? There's really no one on the current roster that I think, you know, comes in the game and you just feel terrible about, you know, what's going to happen with so-and-so on the mound. Even, you know, Jose Ruiz is maybe the guy sort of at the tail end of this bullpen depth chart right now. And even he has a sub-4 ERA since coming over from the White Sox.
And there's 2022 Arizona Diamondbacks All-Star Joe Mantiply, who's not here yet. So
that's right.
There's reinforcements coming too. Yeah. And I mean, the big thing, I feel like there's just kind of this thread amongst both the team in general and like individuals, whereas like as soon as you start questioning them, they kind of just show up. Like the big thing that like the big criticism that we've had of them recently, I guess, is them scoring with runners in scoring position, and they did that. And then even like on an individual level, you ask questions about like Pavin Smith or Nick Ahmed, and then they both hit home runs in the series. And it's like,
every time the Diamondbacks fans are about to throw in the towel on Pavin Smith, he hits like a big go-ahead home run.
And like it's so the team just doesn't like anytime you level a criticism against them, it seems like they answer it. Which is obviously like incredibly encouraging if you're a fan of the team, but like the running and the runners in scoring position is super encouraging too. I get that it's a bad team, but the point I was trying to hammer home last week when we were talking about this series is like good teams are supposed to do this against bad teams. Yeah, this is all you can ask for. Yeah. You need them to dominate a bad team, and that's more or less what they did.
Yeah, and that's again we talk about taking care of business. We also talk about being satisfied at times with the fact that they're winning series against teams that they should beat, right? Mm-hmm. You do have our favorite Dodgers troll has arrived. That's Mo Schubert in the comments, says law of averages will eventually catch up to the D-backs and they'll come back down to earth. We thought that too, but that's not what's happening this season. By the way, Mo Schubert has offered me a very tantalizing bet, if you will, gentlemen. He has offered me that if the Diamondbacks should win the NL West, he will purchase a diehard subscription for one lucky person that we choose on the show.
Wow.
But should the Dodgers win the National League West, he is requiring that I dress in Dodgers gear for a full week, I believe.
A full week.
Okay.
Oh my God.
That you didn't tell us that you were putting like our reputation at stake.
I know. Here's the thing is, I don't even know where I would get that kind of apparel. He was the only Dodgers fan that I would even befriend. So, and he's moved away. So I don't know where I'm going to get that stuff.
5 foot. That's a Dodgers fan.
That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. But we're going to consider that bet, Mo. So
your negotiation powers, Derek.
They're not great.
Come
on, I'm getting someone a year's worth of diehard membership. I feel like that's worth it. But fair. Let's talk about Scott McGough because, God damn it, he's been so good. And we've bashed that man, and he has turned it around. He is an international sex symbol, whether he agrees with me or not. And when he comes into the game, you blow out the candles, you turn out the lights, and you get into bed. Because Scott McGough is putting things to rest. The man in the last 18 innings pitched has given up 1 earned run. He has a opponent batting average of 102. He's given up 7 walks and 6 hits total in that time frame, 23 strikeouts. And he has absolutely emerged as the guy that should be their late inning high leverage guy, aka their closer.
Yeah, funny how I mentioned Joe Mantiply because this feels very much like like, oh, this would have been like any other year. This is the D-backs All-Star. Like they don't really have, like, the team kind of sucks. You're just gonna throw in like a bat or like a decent bullpen guy at the end of it. It's very nice to be in a different situation where we're upset about someone not being a starter because they're getting robbed. But yeah, I mean, to have a guy like that, especially when there were questions at moments early on in the season, like, is very encouraging, and I think it's
very bad outings. Like, just honestly, very bad outings where he wasn't effective at all and immediately cost the Diamondbacks games. But I feel like those stand out more again, like the bullpen in general. The losses, the times they blew it, stands out more than all of the times so far that they've helped this team win games. And they've done that. The bullpen is just a different bullpen than last year. And even though I used that same damn meme, I still feel like they deserve credit when they're when they are locking things down, and they were very good in this series. But
we've talked a lot about Ryan Nelson's fastball and how it has all this life on it. I was doing some nerdy research yesterday, as I like to do. That's how I spend my weekends. The only Diamondbacks pitcher with more carry on his four-seam fastball is Scott McGough.
There you go.
I was very surprised by that. Ryan Nelson is number 2, and Scott McGough is number 1. He has a lot of vertical ride on his fastball.
Well, there's one person we know that there's nothing wrong with any part of his game. And that, of course, is our King Snake for this season. For this season.
Wow.
At this point.
Series.
I mean, honestly, that's not that crazy.
So far.
Prove me wrong. He's your potential MVP, and he's pretty much locked up the Roy. We're giving him the National League Rookie of the Year already. It's Corbin Carroll, King Snake. 429 average with those 2 home runs in the same game. This is even with an 0-4 game factored in here.
Yeah.
So, like, my God, this man has been good lately, and he gave a great interview during the Peacock game where he was wearing the victory vest. And it was too big for him. And he said he was going to take it off in about 30 seconds. But I don't believe that for a minute. I think he wore that the rest of the afternoon, if you ask me.
On the flight home.
Yeah, on the flight home. Yeah, definitely. You should. That absolutely is a must. That absolutely is a must. WWE used to make their champions carry the belts and stuff through the airport. The D-backs should absolutely make whoever the last person that wins the victory vest, they should have to wear that home. But
that was an incredible series for Corbin Carroll. I mean, Friday, right? First career grand slam, first career multi-homer game. We won't talk about Saturday, but Sunday
they didn't need him Saturday.
Yeah, they didn't need him. They did not need him on Saturday. Sunday, Corbin Carroll in 19 out of 30 Major League ballparks would have hit for the cycle. He singled, doubled, and tripled in that game. Wow. And he also hit a fly ball deep to center field that did not get out of Comerica Park. Also would not have gotten out of Chase Field because it's impossible to hit. It's impossible to hit a home run to center field at Chase Field. But yeah, in 19 out of 30 ballparks, that would have left the yard, and it would have given Corbin Carroll his first career cycle as well.
Wow. My God. Could you imagine if that happened?
You would have lost your mind, Derek. You would have absolutely lost your mind.
I lost my mind enough watching the game at home. By the way, annoyed my wife with watching game day. So it's not just you guys.
Yeah, because that's how normal people would react to that.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it now. Somehow, though, inexplicably, Corbin Carroll is 5th in all-star votes for National League outfielders per MLB's first ballot update. Let's take a look at that. But as you see here, there's another player from the Arizona Diamondbacks up there in 3rd place.
I love how that's how we're framing this, being like, gosh darn it, Corbin Carroll's being robbed. Meanwhile, we have potentially an all-star starter.
Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is 3rd and appears to be far more likely to start the game right now than Corbin Carroll, just based on that difference in voting. And we have to thank the wonderful Toronto Blue Jays fans for their participation in the all-star voting. We love you. We appreciate your love of baseball. And more importantly, we appreciate your love of your players long after they've left your organization. It's unlike any team we've ever
Where's
seen.
Gabby in the voting,
though? Gabby is...
He's 7th, I believe.
Yeah, he should be much higher.
But they didn't have as much time to fall in love with him as they did.
We need to work together on that, Blue Jays fans. But for the most part, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. has a fairly commanding lead here. I mean, that's kind of impressive over Juan Soto and Fernando Tatis Jr. I mean, there's just a lot of Padres fans out there now. Those guys are really popular. And I mean, again, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. actually getting the credit he deserves, what him and I have done this season together as a team.
Yeah, I think the funniest thing about like D-back, like how the D-backs get treated in the national media is like, I feel like ultimately if you're good, you're going to get your respect. But then I know you were looking at like the Christian Walker thing like earlier, like once you're in the margins like then you're going to start getting completely disrespected. They're not going to pay you any attention.
Yeah, that's
Christian
true.
Walker is absolutely being disrespected right now.
And,
He
like-
is not even in the top 10.
Yeah,
Hate
which
it.
is
Pretty-
absurd.
Hate it.
Jake Cronenworth has more votes at first base.
The
than
Crone
Christian
Zone,
Walker.
baby. But like at the end of the day, and granted, like Canada probably does play a role with it, but like it's hard to argue that Lourdes doesn't at least deserve to be in that top 5, if not a starter, especially over guys like Juan Soto and Fernando Tatis. He's having a really good damn season.
You know who deserves to be in there that isn't getting the love they deserve? Jerry P.
Pavement
Your
Smith.
wrist king. Geraldo Perdomo. Jesse, how is this possible?
Yeah, I mean, Geraldo Perdomo has a 396 on base percentage, which is insane. Like
Yeah,
a
any good?
shortstop who plays good defense, who gets on base almost 40% of the time.
It's Moneyball written all over it.
First among NL shortstops in OPS at 869. First.
He technically is not a so-called qualified hitter at this point. He still is a little bit short. As long as the Diamondbacks continue to use him in this platoon role with Nick Ahmed, it's going to be hard for him to catch up on those plate appearances. So that might be part of it. People are looking at the number of at-bats that he has and noticing it is lower than some of the other shortstops. But he should absolutely be higher than 8th.
And isn't he behind a shortstop that only has like 100 at bats? Or no, is that
yeah. Well, Matt McClain has more votes than Geraldo Perdomo, and Matt McClain has about 120 plate appearances, I think, at this point. And they have been incredible, but 120 plate appearances is like 30 games. When you're talking about
Former Arizona
like half.
Diamondback Matt McClain.
Yeah, former Diamondbacks legend, former Diamondbacks draft pick, never actually signed with the team. Matt McClain has had a good start to his career. But yeah, Geraldo Perdomo is absolutely being disrespected in the voting at this point. I don't necessarily think that like, Perdomo has to start. I think there is some legitimacy to the case against him, and that he doesn't have as many at-bats. He doesn't lead in WAR. He's 3rd in WAR among shortstops in the NL. But he has a really strong case to be a reserve, and at least with how the fans are seeing it right now, he would not at all be in that situation.
Christian Walker once again leads all first basemen in outs above average, right? And
I haven't checked, but yes. I mean, I don't even really have to.
Yeah.
Defensive runs saved, outs above average. Like, again, hopefully he gets that nod when we get past the vote select or the fan selection. Obviously, not a lot of fans outside of Arizona know him, but they should, and they should know our song we sing about him, with the Walker song.
He is first.
We'll get a video out there. Is he at
He has
first?
6.
Yeah.
Nathaniel Lowe has 5.
Yeah,
as much as people with 3.
Christian Walker
Or a
just
couple
continues
of
to be incredible. Ketel Marte is 8th in All-Star voting right now at second base, 5th among all NL second basemen with an 812 OPS. So maybe right around where he should be. Like, that's not that surprising.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like he's being snubbed.
It's not that egregious. I think he's 9th in WAR actually among NL second basemen. A lot of that is just he's kind of a negative defensively, which is certainly working against him there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you feel like in general, when it comes to the All-Star game, people favor offense a little bit more than defense. We're not, you're not necessarily just looking at who has the most WAR and putting that player in there.
Sure.
Like I think both Dansby Swanson and Xander Bogaerts are very high in WAR among NL shortstops, and yet their offensive numbers are just not that good. And generally, that sort of thing isn't really rewarded in All-Star game voting. So we'll see how it turns out. It is just kind of a weird year in general, though, for All-Star game voting. There's not really clear-cut candidates at a few different spots. Third base is also really weird this year, with Manny Machado, Nolan Arenado not being nearly as good as they usually are. Austin Riley hasn't even been as good as usual.
But I'm sure those guys will still be voted.
We need to start the Emmanuel Rivera in campaign.
There you go.
He deserves it.
It's the only way it's going to happen.
As Damon said earlier, look at that man and tell me that's not what an all-star looks like.
He absolutely is. It's an all-star beard, that's for sure.
If you hit 380, are you not an all-star?
You absolutely
I'm sitting here and I can't wrap my head around a different.
Can't fathom it.
It's the disrespect, the unmitigated gall of the fans.
He's down to 356 at this point, so maybe that's what it is. Once he gets up to 395, then the voters will. I mean,
all of you.
Rivera, in fairness, Rivera does have 110 plate appearances, so he's even lower than Matt McClain. He doesn't, frankly, have enough plate appearances to really draw.
But if Matt McClain's getting votes, then why can't Emmanuel Rivera?
That's true.
That's right. It's true. Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly cannot be voted in, but both have decent chances of making it in. And the D-backs should be well represented in the All-Star game. I wanted to ask you guys, before we move on to the mailbag, how many All-Stars satisfies you with the way this team is playing? How many guys from the team Not we don't need names, we don't need specific, but number. How many guys would make you 10. At least feel like they were represented well?
David.
David says 10.
We need a, what was it, like 2014, or probably too early on that, but the
Royals?
Yes.
The 2015, I believe.
No, I like 5 or 6. Like, because I'm trying to think. Like, I do think at this point Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly deserve to be all stars. I think that Josh Rojas. No, I think that Lourdes Gurriel and Corbin Carroll deserve to be all stars.
Sure.
I mean, you start thinking about, does a guy like Scott McGough find a way in there? Does Christian Walker Stark in the respect he deserves? Like, I feel like Perdomo, like after you get some like injuries and maybe some like people where it's not the fans choosing that these guys were all stars, I think you end up getting 1 or 2 more in there. So I think around that 5 area.
Generally speaking, the teams that have the most have 6. We saw a few teams last year with 6, and the Diamondbacks are tied for the best record in the National League. So it's hard to argue that they shouldn't have as many All-Stars as any team in the National League. I don't know if I would necessarily say 6, but yeah, I mean, I think based on how this generally goes in the past, I think 4 or 5 is a pretty reasonable number. Whether they get 4 or 5, I'm more leaning towards maybe 3, maybe 4 is sort of where things maybe seem to be trending.
Yeah,
but
3 is where I'm at. I think 3 as my minimum.
So who gets left out in that situation?
Well, I could see Merrill Kelly getting left out.
Fair.
I could see
Perdomo
getting left out. I could see it being
Perdomo wasn't factored into my 4.
I could see it being
guaranteed.
Carroll and Gurriel seem pretty clear,
and then Zach Gallen,
especially because it's in Seattle, man. Like, I feel like they're gonna figure out a way to get Corbin Carroll.
Corbin Carroll isn't in the All-Star game, I don't know what we're doing.
Let's talk about it.
I'm satisfied. I'm not worried about that though. I feel like even if Corbin Carroll misses the fan vote, I feel like he'll still
that's what I'm
make
saying.
it as a reserve.
Yeah,
or at the very much like he seems like a prime candidate to win that like last man in vote that they do, where it's like they have like the 5 people to. Like, don't they always do that, the last man in vote or whatever?
Yeah, there is another. Like this is like the first stage, and then there's another phase to this that the fans participate in.
Everybody in the chat says 4 to 5. It looks like.
I think that's pretty
that feels fair. Like I said,
fair.
I feel like there's 4 people that I feel definitely deserve it, and then
do you think
1 or 2 that are fringe?
Do you think that is Lourdes allowed to concede his starting spot to Corbin Carroll?
Absolutely not.
Probably not. But it's so awkward.
It's a contract year for him. He ain't conceding.
That's fair.
I wouldn't concede anything.
It's kind of hilarious though. Like if you have 2 players at the same position, I think it's pretty clear that Corbin Carroll, in pretty much every respect at this point, Lourdes is absolutely deserving of being an all-star, but there is zero argument to be made that Lourdes deserves to start over Corbin Carroll. There's zero argument at this point.
Even on the emotional aspect, because it's in Seattle.
Like, he's got to be there.
So many reasons.
He's got to be there. We'll see what happens.
Put him in the home run derby.
You can bet on Corbin Carroll, by the way, right now on the BetMGM app to win Rookie of the Year, and you can also bet on him to win MVP. You can also get down on the BetMGM Swing for the Fences promotion. You can get this offer in 3 easy steps. Log into your Sportsbook app on iOS or Android. Play the BetMGM MLB free-to-play game from May 27th through September 27th, 2023. Be a batter and pick an area of the strike zone. Depending on the area of the strike zone you pick, you will get single, double, triple, or home run or pop out and receive the prize associated with that type of hit. You can play once a day. Prizing must be used on MLB and expires in 24 hours. So there's a fun way for you to get down on the BetMGM app and swing for the fences. If you love baseball that much, you're already on there betting on Corbin Carroll to win the MVP. So just swing for the fences while you're there. If you haven't signed up for the BetMGM app yet, use bonus code PHNX. There's a few different offers depending on where you live, but for our Arizona audience, you will get up to $100 in bonus bets instantly on your first wager with BetMGM. Again, just make sure you use bonus code PHNX. Check out the show notes for full details. And now listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Disclaimer, 21 plus to wager. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in Washington, D.C., Mississippi, Nevada, New York, and Ontario. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369, New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, Arizona. 1-800-522-4700, Kansas, Nevada. 1-800-327-5050, Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF, Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help, Michigan.
Well, thank you guys for being here right now in the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. Of course, if you haven't signed up for notifications or subscribe, please do so now. That way you don't miss whenever any of our wonderful shows go live. If you're listening right now on your favorite audio podcasting app, we thank you for being here as a listener. Please subscribe if you haven't done so on your app, and leave us a review. We always appreciate that feedback. Most importantly, join us for PHNX diehard membership over here at gophnx.com. Become part of the family. Not only will you get a free piece of merchandise from the phnxlocker.com, but you will get a free $50 voucher from our friends at Mountain Mike's simply for signing up. So right there, it pays for itself. You get a ranch card from Dobson Ranch Golf Club, and so much more. You get access to our members-only Discord lounge, 20% off all future purchases on the phnxlocker.com. You get Jesse's newsletter, Full Count, all sorts of stuff. So if you haven't signed up yet, join us, become part of the family today, and we love you for it. We appreciate you guys being here, and those of you that are already diehard members, thank you guys for doing so. Well, you know what it is. This is this guy's first Monday.
Shawn doesn't know.
You
have to tell him.
Okay, so around here on this podcast, because of course, you might not have experienced this yet. Every week is Shark Week. Every day is Earth Day because we recycle.
Yes, of course.
And every Monday, you, me, Megaran, Jesse, Damon Dog, we go to the mailbag. Okay. Damon, would you mind?
Always something interesting in my mailbox. I try to get to everything in my mailbox. And then once in a while, there's a letter that makes me go, wow, wow, my mailbox.
It's Mailbag Monday. Let's go. What do we got? First question comes from Elizabeth. And Elizabeth wants to know, how are you today? That's the nicest Mailbag Monday question we've ever got. I'm good. Boys, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. My nose is kind of runny today, which sucks, but otherwise, I got a good. I went to bed at like 9:30 last night.
Ooh, that's
good.
Night's
sleep. Woke up early, fresh.
Sex is great, but have you ever tried getting a full night's sleep?
Full night's sleep. It's beautiful. Wow. So I'm doing all right.
Yeah. What about you, Jesse? 3.5 game lead over the Dodgers in the National League West. How you feeling?
Actually, the Oakland Athletics are the best.
Yes, the Oakland Athletics, right up there with the Arizona.
This is an Oakland Athletics podcast.
Get out of here. Get out.
That's my team.
I'm doing well. I didn't go to bed last night at 9:30, and I have no regrets because going to bed at 9:30 is entirely too early. And how old are you anyway?
Jesse,
spare me, Jesse Friedman. How old are you anyways? The oldest soul I have ever met.
It's honestly hilarious because I think you and I are actually like almost identical in age.
When's your birthday? What day? What day is your birthday?
October.
Okay,
October 12th.
Slightly older than you. My birthday's in July.
Yep, that means that he gets to tell you what to do around here. That's the way that works. There we go.
Yeah.
All right, what else we got?
Who's the old soul now?
Yeah, fair enough.
We are great, Elizabeth, to answer your question. We're great. What else we got? Albert asks, am I obligated to put all D-backs on my all-star game ballot? Albert, no, you are absolutely not. If you are a baseball aficionado, you can feel free. I think it's dumb to blindly put all of your team's players on the ballot. I think that you should vote fairly. I think people deserve credit. We have Pavin Smith bashing going on in the background right as we're discussing this. But yeah, no, I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
No,
do you just think that you should have allegiance? You say all
D-backs? No, I mean, I say that half in jest.
I mean, it should be all outfielders and Gabby Moreno and Geraldo Perdomo.
I was looking through it and I was just like, okay, they're honestly like the D-backs have a decent case at almost every position. Amanda Rivera is not on the ballot. Josh Rojas obviously does not deserve to be an all-star. Cattell does not at this point deserve to be an all-star, but
the third outfielder probably doesn't deserve to be an outfielder.
Pavin does not deserve to be an all-star. No, he's listed as DH in it. Not
deserve to be an outfielder.
So like realistically, no, but this year there's a case to be made in a lot of the positions that it should be a D-back. But no, like yeah, you probably should. Because we're sitting here complaining about we're not really complaining about it, but
saying guys don't get their credit.
The Padres are just there because their fans are voting them, and they don't deserve to be there over Corbin.
Sure.
So not only one of them was, but and so
there's a lot of National League outfielders that deserve to be there over those guys that are voted in.
We can't sit here and be like people should vote for our guys because they just deserve it, and then be like, but you have to vote for D-backs even if they don't deserve it.
The world would be such a better place if people would stop just mindlessly voting for all of their own players.
Right.
That's all I really have to say on this. The reason that we have problems in the All-Star ballot year after year is because fans don't do that. Fans just look at the ballot and they, well, I guess in the old days, you would punch it out and everything. People used to punch out the name of every single player that played for their team, regardless of whether they actually deserved it or not. And people continue to do that to this day on the interwebs. And it is a big problem. Because that's the reason why Major League Baseball just cannot allow fans to control all of the all-star rosters. They can allow it. They can let the fans have their fun with the starters. And for the most part, fans will do a good enough job with the starters. But beyond that, it would just be, it would be such a mess every year if you didn't have, players and coaches do the rest
like
of
what
the
he was
roster.
referencing, the year it was the National League versus the Royals, right? Like that was,
and that was a year where a lot of them did deserve it. Like there was, or at least could make a case for it. But then
Omar Infante did not deserve it.
Exactly. Then you get cases where they definitely did. And I'm not here to judge fans for voting for their team because you are a fan.
Do what it makes you happy.
And they gave you that power. So whatever.
Who are we to tell you what to do with
the
power?
Ultimately, on a large scale, that is the problem with fans voting for all-stars.
Yeah. Vote for guys you think deserve it.
Right now, and I'm not going to say necessarily that he doesn't deserve it, but Adley Rutschman is like 100,000 votes ahead of second place in the entire American League.
Right.
And it's like, okay, is that fair? Probably not. But
it's a bit much. But he's a very good baseball player.
Is really
he is very good. I'm not saying he doesn't necessarily deserve to be leading, but the fact that that's clearly a fan thing when a Baltimore Oriole is outvoting people by 100,000 votes.
Absolutely. All right, what else we got, Damon? Next question comes from Rick the beer guy, and Rick asks, with Kelly and Lewis coming back, who's most likely to get sent down? And I hate this question, but he's right. With Kelly and Lewis coming back, who is?
Well, I feel like the obvious answer is Herrera.
Jose Herrera.
Can I butt in here?
Please.
Because the Diamondbacks 3 minutes ago just announced a series of roster moves that involve these exact players.
Oh my God, it's happened. So we don't need to speculate.
We don't really need to speculate.
Jesse, breaking news. Hit us with it.
The Diamondbacks reinstated Carson Kelly from the 60-day injured list and optioned Jose Herrera to AAA Reno. The D-backs also reinstated Joe Mantiply from the 50-day injured list.
Baby. Reinforcement.
And option Kevin Ginkel to AAA Reno. Interesting choice there.
Interesting.
The Diamondbacks also reinstated Kyle Lewis from the 10-day injured list and optioned him to AAA Reno. So Kyle Lewis's rehab assignment is over, but he is staying in AAA.
Didn't he just have a dinger last night?
I think he might have. Honestly, his numbers, though, overall in AAA have not been, relative to the PCL, have not been what you would maybe hope for. I don't have a huge issue with the Diamondbacks giving him some more time and just kind of seeing how things pan out. I'm sure people will maybe be angry about Kyle Lewis not being up here and a certain other Diamondbacks outfielder not being sent down.
Man, fantastic.
But yeah,
that's good.
Those are the
Carson
news
Kelly. Carson Kelly coming back. Welcome back, Carson Kelly. Welcome back, Joe Mantiply.
That's what I was getting at earlier. The team in the last 20 minutes has just gotten, I would argue, significantly better. I would say upgrading from Carson Kelly from Herrera to Carson Kelly is a pretty marked improvement.
I would say so. And Joe
Mantiply was your all-star last year. The bullpen got better, although you're kind of saying making that Ginkel move is really interesting.
That actually is really interesting.
And I know people probably want Pavin to go down, but let's be like I was saying earlier, people on this team kind of just keep doing things at the very moment that you're questioning them. And Pavin keeps doing that. He sucks, and then he hits a big home run, and it's okay. It's kind of hard to keep saying that he sucks. At least saying it. The Pavin homer saved him. It kind of feels like every time he gets close to being why is this guy here? It's there's a...
You can't beat that guy. He's unstoppable.
Dating back to the start of May, Kevin Ginkel has 2.12 ERA. He's given up 4 earned runs in 12 games. And 17 innings pitched. He has a opponent batting average of 219. So he's been very good for this team. This might just be one of those situations where the reason why it's Kevin Ginkel right now is options left.
Yeah.
And that's really what it goes down to, right?
Yeah, I think Jose Ruiz, if I'm not mistaken, Jose Ruiz has no options. So the D-backs would have had to designate him for assignment and probably risk losing him.
And he's been very good since coming over.
He's been pretty good.
Sox.
But yeah, I mean, what does it say about the Diamondbacks bullpen depth that they just optioned Torino, a guy who, as you were just talking about, like over his last 15 games, Kevin Ginkel in 20 innings has a 1.80 ERA, and the Diamondbacks just sent him down to AAA Reno. Yeah, I mean, at the trade deadline, they're going to kind of have the same sort of issue where it's like, who exactly are you replacing in this bullpen?
Yeah.
It's not that they're all stars. It's not that they're all back-end relievers, but they're all pretty darn good.
And you don't want to give up a whole lot for some guy that's going to come in and give you similar production in the bullpen, right? Like, it feels like you want to give it up for an absolute lockdown closer or somebody that absolutely is killing it this year. And I don't know, there's not that many guys out there. Like, maybe a power bat as Hazen talked about.
Was it
right?
not June last year where Carson Kelly was like the best player in baseball?
Carson Kelly did
really good.
Like, and I'm being a little hyperbolic, but not that hyperbolic. Like he was
hitting like 329.
Yeah, he was backing out of his mind at one point. So hey,
I believe he got injured. Like that's kind of what happens to Carson Kelly is like something pops up when he's having a good run. He doesn't like necessarily just go into a slump, but
I'll take another big.
He's been injured
from Carson
just
Kelly
way too much.
I mean,
so
kind of.
Well, there's your answer to your question. So we're not going to speculate.
I'm
going to go out on a limb and say Kevin Ginkel.
There you go. Good answer. What else we got over there, Damon? Brian Bobbitt asks, is Zach Gallen's struggles lately a cause for concern or just a minor blip that'll get around? We kind of addressed this earlier, but yeah, I think it's just a minor blip. I think that a lot of it is game planning. Like I said, I thought the Tigers just had a good game plan on him, and that's what's happening with Zach Gallen. The flip side of him getting national attention means that teams are going to be specifically game planning for Zach Gallen. They're like trying to find a weakness against him. When you see a guy that doesn't give up a lot of walks, that is a guy that is throwing the ball in the strike zone a lot and usually getting ahead in the count early. And that's what Zach Gallen is doing, and that's what the Tigers basically jumped on, right? I mean, it's that kind of that simple. Like you said, there's also the dip in velocity, so that made his fastball not exactly that intimidating or hard to see.
Right. Yeah, I do have some concerns here. I wouldn't say my concern level is 0. To me, it did not look like a really, really good pitcher just having a bad day. It sort of looked like, man, Zach Gallen's just not right. His velo is down. He wasn't really throwing anything but fastballs and curveballs yesterday, which was really bizarre to me. He only threw a few cutters, only a few changeups. I think the changeup is really important for him to get guys off his fastball. So yeah, I'm not super concerned at this point. But to me, it kind of looks like Zach Gallen in spring training and in his first couple starts of the year, where in spring training, we were asking questions about, his velocity being down. I was told that Zach Gallen was dealing with a dead arm in spring training, which is not something I heard until more recently. So, hopefully he's fine. And this was just pitching really early in the morning, Arizona time.
That's what Gabriel says. He said Gallen is also young. I doubt he was in bed at 8 p.m. before his 8 a.m. start. They were all clearly still asleep through the first innings. And yes, they were.
Yeah, it could be that simple for sure. I don't want to overblow it, but it did look a little weird to me. It wasn't like Gallen's throwing 94 and has all his pitches, but stuff just isn't working. It was like, this is not really the Zach Gallen we're used to seeing.
Yeah, but it's weird because you look at like all of the good NL pitchers from last year and like top 5 Cy Young voters, 2 of them I believe are on the injured list. One of the winner is Sandy, who his last start was good but has sucked this year, and then you have Zach Gallen who hasn't been great. Like
it's so true.
It's like everyone kind of is struggling, and it just so happens to be the year where a lot of rules have changed. And then this, like you kind of mentioned, this one game was at 8 a.m., which is it's
stupid
6 a.m. here, right? It's Central Time. Or no, well, you know what I mean. It's 8 a.m. here, but like when they had to start their days, like it's very, very early.
That's true.
So like, I mean, I'm only gonna, Jesse said, concern's not 0, but it's also, I'm not gonna say it's much higher than like a 1 or
different.
2.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird timing. And the other thing I'll say to what you were just talking about with the rule changes is I think it's Baseball Prospectus was working on a little research story about guys who are struggling and the fact that injuries have been up significantly for pitchers this year. And it does seem to be disproportionately affecting guys who were slow, guys who work slowly. And Zach Gallen was one of those guys. So it's not just guys are hurt. It's that some of those guys are just not performing particularly well. Corbin Burns is another one who just hasn't really been himself this year. So I think it's possible that the rule changes have some part to play in this. But also Zach Gallen was absolutely incredible like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be too dramatic.
Well, yeah, that's part of what I'm getting at. Like you look at, like, we're kind of talking about a couple of performances from him. Where meanwhile, like you look at everyone else on that list, he's still probably the best of the top 5 vote getters for the Cy Young last year. So it's
Here's the thing.
All right.
Here's the thing. Zach Gallen, there's a lot of factors I think that came into this game. But to be honest, this was a Tigers team that had kind of gotten embarrassed by the Diamondbacks for 2 games consecutively. They were home. They were sleeping in their own beds. They had a lot of advantages in this game. And yeah, they jumped on Gallen early. But again, I'm not super concerned because it wasn't like Gallen needed to be pulled out in 2 innings. It's not like Gallen continued to struggle. He got rocked early.
We would have killed to have these problems last year.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and
overall, they still won the game.
They still won the game, right?
Right.
Marcus, by the way, in the chat said any updates whatsoever on Cole Sulser or Corbin Martin? None yet. Sulser's still on the 60-day IL. Corbin Martin will not be coming back this year. So that's pretty much. I wouldn't be surprised to not see either one of those guys this year, to be honest. But Cole Sulser could definitely be back this season at some point.
I don't know if the D-backs would have room for Cole
That's
Sulser
what I'm saying. I don't know where he would factor in, and I don't know what exactly the Diamondbacks are going to do with this roster, which is not a terrible problem to have. Let's get one more question on Mailbag Monday before we go to our commercial break here. Kind of a silly thought, Ryan Simmons asks, but does it even bother you how frequently the team's name is shortened to D-backs? Even on their own jerseys, if designers are having trouble fitting the whole name onto the jersey, is it time to consider changing to a shorter name? I don't really like the D-backs that much, to be honest. The name, I like Diamondbacks better. Jesse and I were talking about that. Don't really know, besides the A's, another team that like actually gets their name abbreviated.
The Mets, technically.
The Mets, yeah, because they're the.
I mean, are they really the Metropolitans?
At the very least, they shortened their name, like they were the Metropolitans.
Did people actually say that?
I believe back originally, were they not?
The Reds were the Red Stockings.
Yeah,
were they not?
That too.
It's true.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I'm with you. I kind of, again, some of the earlier designs that had the full Diamondbacks name on it, I used to like those. I didn't hate that. I kind of like the one that had the diamond and then backs kind of as a lower line underneath it. But I think he's right. I mean, yeah, I do think that to a degree, fitting it on the jersey is probably part of the problem. Let's just go back to purple and teal and copper and call it a day, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, if you just put an A on it,
yeah,
you don't got to worry about it.
Just put the A.
For someone who has an opinion on everything, I'm so wildly indifferent towards this. I don't really know why. I'm just like a big nickname guy, like a kind of like I always shorten things. Like this season, I was calling the Buffalo Sabres the Burrs, which is like not a thing anyone ever calls them. I just do that. And I also grew up like the Rochester Americans. They just are consistently referred to as the Amerks, which is crazy. It's a crazy abbreviation of Americans.
Yeah, one of my best friends, Daryl, he pronounces the Arizona Cardinals as the Nulls. He refuses to call them cards. No,
that's that's why I like the.
We just have such little patience for more than like one.
Yeah,
the Washington Commanders are either the Commies or the Manders or the Mandos. Or,
see, I'm with Ben. Can we just make Snakes the official short version? I like calling them the Snakes. I like that. I don't think we do that enough. I think that's definitely a way. Serpientes, great city name. I like the City Connect name being different. I'm big on that.
From a practical standpoint, it is a little annoying because like I don't know, like when I write an article, do I put Diamondbacks in the headline or D-backs? Like,
I mean, that's the problem with doing the full thing is it is a long ass name. It's a lot of letters.
And we did get a media guide on how to put it officially, and there's only one way to write D-backs.
Capital
D, capital D, apostrophe backs. That's it. No,
I am very particular about that.
It's they are too. Apparently,
the apostrophe makes me cringe. Like I just can't.
So many people.
They
did that on the Peacock broadcast up in the corner at one point when they said D-backs. They had like a little apostrophe D-backs. Oh, I hated it.
Oh yeah, that's the worst. I would rather no punctuation there.
Yes. Well, before we get on to some more Mailbag Monday questions, we do got to thank our friends at Mountain Mike's for always feeding us, keeping our bellies full. And again, they have multiple locations here in the Valley and in Tucson. So make sure to check them out. If you get that diehard membership, you will get that $50 voucher upon signing up. So head over to mountainmikespizza.com or to their Mesa, Chandler, or Tucson locations to place your next order. And again, If you're a new diehard, get that $50 voucher upon signing up. They have gigantic pizzas that are one pizza will feed your entire crew. I assure you that. They also have their lunch buffets at their locations, which we enjoyed very much. So make sure to check them out all over the valley. And before we get on to more Mailbag Monday questions, we have to thank our friends at MOR Furniture for these chairs that we're sitting in. I like this. I mean, we upgraded Shawn, but we also upgraded to Studio A. And I feel like, here we are sitting in the nice chairs. And they're still not the recliners over there, but very much enjoying all the furniture that MOR has provided us with here. Of course, you should upgrade your living room or wherever you watch sports at, most importantly, over at morefurniture.com. Save big on the best furniture in the valley when you head to morefurniture.com. And don't forget to get their white glove delivery service, which is the only way to have anything delivered to your house, to be honest. Don't go anywhere anymore. Have everything delivered to your home through delivery services and make your life a better life. We do have more Mailbag Monday questions. And what do we have? And everybody's yelling at Daniel, so let's get to Daniel's question. What do we got? Daniel, he wants to know, is Chris versus Mark, a.k.a. Don's Bread, the greatest rivalry in sports? Those are two of our biggest family members, I should say. Most beloved family members who just absolutely hate each other. And we find it to be delightful. It might quite possibly be. This is the greatest rivalry potentially in PHNX history.
So I'm new here, so I don't have any real context for this.
It's odd. It's odd. They glare at each other at all of our takeover
deep
events.
Down though, they actually like each other.
You think so?
I think so.
I think Chris likes Mark, but I'm not sure about Mark liking Chris back. I think that seems sincere, but I could be wrong. What else we got? Next question comes from Ryan Hanley. Ryan asks, have either of you had a close call with a foul ball entering the press box? And secondly, what are the top 3 wagons? Great question. Yes. I think Jesse and I have both had close calls with foul balls in the press box.
But you've never been hit like
never been hit like the New York Yankees announcer got hit with a ball. It bounced right off his head, and he just kept plugging along. I've never seen anybody more professional in his life.
It was a foul ball, and he's like, a foul ball gets fouled back, and then it like hits the thing, and then it hits him in the head, and he's like, and then it really hit me.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was coming back that far.
Right. And Jesse and I can attest to this. This is how every foul ball that comes into the press box actually is. So many of them, you just kind of like, wait, is it? I don't know.
The angle of it, too, makes it so hard to read.
Yeah, it is because, like, especially with the Diamondbacks being a mid-level press box, right? You have the fact that it's the same level as the suites, and it has a fairly high net that goes up behind it. So not a lot.
Yeah.
Like, when I first started, before they changed the nets at Chase Field, way more foul balls came into the press box than they do now. But they have to be going at this certain speed and this certain backspin, like to get them to clear the net, but then to make it into the press box. So when they do, they're like a goddamn ping pong ball. Once they get in there, just bing, 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 all over the place. Like, it's crazy how unpredictable it is. I just don't want my laptop to get smashed by one. That is like my greatest
none of us care about hitting us. It's just about protecting your technology.
I will sacrifice my own face to save my laptop. Are you shitting me? I would let it hit me right in my forehead.
Didn't someone give you that laptop, Derek?
Yeah, he did, and that's why I feel like I should protect it at all costs because I can't afford a laptop like this, so I couldn't afford to replace it. But yeah, no, I mean, I think that we've had our fair share of calls, close calls. Our friend Jack Summers was like this close to getting hit by one this season. He took a picture of it next to his head.
There's still a baseball-sized dent in the wall, like right behind us in the second row. That he's only like one seat next to me. I wasn't there that day, but that would have probably spooked me a little bit too.
Yeah, he's very close to Jesse. And he also asked best wagons. Red Flyer's got to be in there, right?
Top
classic,
5,
top 5, top 3.
G-Wagon's is for sure up
G-Wagon, yeah.
What about the Oklahoma wagon?
Covered, a covered wagon?
The Oakland Athletics.
No,
they are
no.
The hottest team in baseball.
We're not doing that.
I love how the A's have won 5 in a row and they're 5-5 in their last 10.
Yeah, they're still the hottest team in baseball. But I think we all know the biggest wagon.
A Subaru Outback?
I was going to talk about the Arizona
Diamondbacks. That is a
All
wagon,
right.
isn't
All right,
it?
sure.
Yeah.
Nicholas went station horse-drawn Chuck. All right. Yeah, that's a good top 3. I like that. We're giving other PHNX rivalries. Craig Morgan versus Ketchup. I saw me versus Toe Tree.
Well, I mean, I have plenty of. I don't know if I have rivalries with anyone here. Me versus the Antonellis. Me versus
you
the
versus the Antonellis
Stanford
is going to get us shut down.
Me versus Gary Sanchez.
Do you have a problem with the Stanford Tree?
Me versus the oh boy, do I have a problem with the Stanford
we don't
Tree.
have time for this.
Yeah,
right
we
now.
unpack that.
We don't.
Leah versus fake maple syrup. All right, we got a lot of catching up to do on some of these rivalries. What else we got, Damon? Jacob asks, how much longer can they hold on to Pavin? Fletch makes better contact, better speed, better defense, would be a great leadoff hitter in front of Cattell Corbin. He makes more sense for this team. Yeah, I don't know. At times, I think, like, I almost feel like they're trying to get as much out of Pavin for a period of time as possible, knowing that this is a long season and they're just going to need bodies as the season goes on. I don't mean that in a callous way. I just mean, like, Pavin has had some big hits for them right now, so he's not a liability. And he's been, stepping up for them at times. So it just makes it easier for at least the time being to let the younger guy continue to work on stuff and get better. And then maybe call him up when they need that a fresh body in like August.
And I mean, yeah, like you said, he's not hurting them. I don't know. Is this like, could it be like a service time thing? Like, is there like, if there's not a point, if Pavin is not hurting you and he is getting some big hits, what's the point of burning time with Fletcher? I don't know if that really applies to the situation.
Not really.
Not right now, because they've already called him up, right?
Oh,
so that's.
I mean, yeah, Fletch is not going to get a full year of service time this year unless he wins the Rookie of the Year award, which at this point
we already got
like...
another guy handling that, so that's fine. We're fine with that.
I do think, yeah, I mean, he definitely has not been. He's not been a liability, and he has had some really big hits. But I think there is also some truth to what a lot of people are saying, in that Pavin Smith has negative .4 WAR, according to Fangraphs this season. He's hitting .209. He's slugging .385. Like, these are not tenable numbers for a guy who only plays first base and right field, right? Like, this is just not a good team. Good teams generally don't have guys who put up those offensive numbers and don't play a premium position. So it's maybe feels like the Diamondbacks are getting to, I don't know, it's been a few years with Pavin now. This is his 4th season in the league. The Diamondbacks might be getting somewhat close to a point of moving on from Pavin Smith in some sense, and they're kind of just trying to make sure that they try everything before potentially making that decision. He does have a really high walk rate, and he doesn't strike out very much, so there are some positives there. He has underperformed a little bit according to some of the StatCast numbers, but in the long term, I definitely understand the question. And even though I think Dominic Fletcher was not quite as good as his numbers suggest before he was sent down, just based on what he provides you defensively, I mean, I think he's a more well-rounded player at this point.
All right, what else we got, Damon? Next question comes from Rick. Rick asks, once healthy and playing, does Carson Jelly? We're calling him Carson Jelly.
Carson Jelly is amazing.
Does he become D-backs' best trade chip? A bunch of teams that are in sell mode have weaknesses at catcher, and I don't know if that's wrong, but I just think that the Diamondbacks are still going to need 2 catchers as the season go on. Jose Herrera really isn't going anywhere. I brought up the possibility of Jose Herrera being a bit available, or possibly on the table for a trade chip due to the fact that the Diamondbacks were getting Carson Kelly back. But like Jesse said, they still need him in Reno, and they're still not very deep at caters. So it's not like if
especially when we're talking about
happen,
a guy who's coming back from injury and kind of keeps getting injured. Like it's not like Carson Kelly has been a picture of health, perfect fitness.
Yeah, right? No, absolutely not. Carson has been injured quite a bit. And the Diamondbacks are always they're never going to carry 3 again like they did at one point, which was just ridiculous. But they will, always need to carry 2 catchers. And I don't feel like Lovello is the kind of guy that's ever going to go with a catcher. Like he's always going to split time between guys. And with Kelly, he's going to give Kelly a lot of time now with Kelly being back. I feel like he might ease him into the role a bit. But once we get into July, we're going to see probably a heavy dose of Kelly over Moreno for a period of time just to give Moreno that break.
Yeah, honestly, I just don't see the D-backs doing that. It is interesting. I mean, we suspected the D-backs might move on from Carson Kelly right when the trade first happened to bring in Gabby Moreno, because Carson Kelly is a pretty solid catcher defensively, and he's had some really good times offensively as well. I think he could be like the primary catcher somewhere. I think he's good enough to do that. But yeah, the D-backs, I think they really like the thought of having both Moreno and Kelly. They also have played Moreno to this point in the season more than I think they really wanted to.
Oh, yeah.
He has not caught more than about 70 games in a season in his professional career yet. And you don't want to have him catch 120. You don't want to increase it that much. Right. So I do think it will be a balance between those two guys. We'll get to talk with Tori more today about what that balance is exactly going to look like. But I think Kelly has too big of a role here with the D-backs for them to make that move.
Jesse's probably bouncing off the walls. It's past 2:00. He needs to get going to go talk to Lovolo and everybody over there. But no, I agree with that. And I think Moreno, that's the one interesting part about this team, about this starting lineup, is there are a lot of young guys that are playing extremely well that I'm sure the Diamondbacks would have liked to not, play as often, but due to the way this team is performing and due to the way they specifically are playing, some of these guys are seeing way more time than I'm sure that they wanted to, but they still have to balance that. They still have to balance not overplaying young guys and still worrying about their progression to being full-time major league players when they're still in their first year or first, 2 seasons of playing baseball. What else we got, Damon? Next question comes from Don's Bread, and Don's Bread asks, who do you think is the best Settlers of Catan player in the clubhouse? Zach Gallen.
I've never played it.
Zach Gallen.
You've never played Catan?
So, no, and I don't really know anything
is like a game where you have to, it's kind of like a video, it's more of a video game, like setup, where you build a settlement and then you have to like expand your settlement, trade.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, I don't have any opposition to it. I would love to. I just don't have any friends.
Yeah, no, I get you. Or friends that want to play board games like that.
No, I just don't have any friends.
No,
I'll be your friend, Shawn.
What
I'm obsessed with Catan.
I would trade it for you because we wanted to be friends with you.
Should we do a little PHNXDbacks?
Jesse strikes me as the kind of guy that's played Catan.
Let's go to lattes.
I forgot. You guys, neither of you were here when we discussed this on the show. When Danielle Cortez filled in a couple of weeks ago, we discussed favorite board games, and I talked at length about my extensive history with Settlers of Catan.
Let's go.
And the fact that I can beat just about anyone at that game.
Let's go to Snakes and Lattes.
See, I don't believe anything you say anymore after watching your ping pong performance, but I want you to answer this question since you're an expert in the category. Who do you think in the clubhouse would be the best Settlers of Catan player?
I mean, there's some serious chess action happening in the clubhouse.
Josh Rojas plays chess all the time, and he's never played chess before. He said
I would love to play Rojas chess. I'm just little humble brag. I played chess. I was on the chess team in high school.
You more than dabble.
I have a chess trophy somewhere at my mom's house.
Chess trophy,
and everyone knows how competitive the Buffalo chess market is.
Buffalo High School chess. Buffalo High School chess is like Texas high school football. It's just
wow.
It's different out there.
It's on a different level. Do we have one more question? I know I usually give Don's Bread the last question, but I think we had one question from Instagram. Did we not? Yes, Clinton. Welcome, Clinton. He says, this one is for the boys at the D-backs booth. D-backs fan living in Kentucky. Howdy to you out there. Did I say howdy?
Nice.
Probably shouldn't say howdy.
I don't think howdy plays in Kentucky.
Kentucky, they just probably say hello like normal folks.
It plays.
Okay,
that's a Texas thing.
I say howdy all the time.
You're from Texas.
I'd like to hear y'all's opinion on the new schedule and how much it has benefited the D-backs this year. The worst part about being part of the NL West is the historical pitching we've always had. Anyway, love y'all's show. Listen every night. Go D-backs. Well, we love you. Thank you for listening. And yeah, let's talk about that schedule because honestly, the Diamondbacks, we talked about how hard the Diamondbacks schedule was out of the gate, right? So that was one thing that we were impressed by, their ability to be a good baseball team during a time of the schedule where, statistically speaking, they had the toughest schedule in baseball for one stretch, right? For a period there in April. And so, like, I don't know. Like, we knew that if they could get through April, we hoped that they could just kind of keep their head above water a bit and get through April because we knew once May and June came along, it's not just, you can't just assume that there are wins, but we knew the schedule got a lot easier. And I do think a big part of that schedule being easier is the fact that they have to play the top teams in their own division less this year, and they get to see some of the other teams in baseball that are weaker teams. I mean, let's be honest. They get to play. They don't have to play tough teams as often, and they do get to get some of those cellar dwellers now versus the opportunities that they wouldn't have got in previous seasons, right?
Yeah. I mean, this schedule change, just as a baseball fan, is one of my favorite things that I've major change that I've seen a sports league make.
So great.
It's really good.
And it's also encouraging from I know we're talking about it like, oh, it's made their lives easier, but also, not like the Padres have been like a very really anyone outside of the Dodgers have been like a really terrifying team.
Very
so it's
true.
hard to say that the record would necessarily look that much different, if not maybe even better potentially. But obviously the big one, big one is the Dodgers, right? Getting to avoid having to play the Dodgers as much, even though the Dodgers are they've obviously been dealing with injuries, not the team that they have been necessarily the last couple of years. It's still the Los Angeles Dodgers. Playing the Los Angeles Dodgers as much as you have to play them, especially at home when it basically becomes a Dodgers home game, like that in and of itself, I'm sure is discouraging for players. So not having to deal with just everything that comes with playing the Dodgers as much, I think that alone makes it a lot better for this team.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's not as big of a difference as maybe we expected it to be, just because the NL West is not what we expected it to be in a lot of ways. Even the Dodgers have walked through their share of trials this season, are walking through a pretty tough stretch right now without multiple starting pitchers in their rotation. The D-backs have played a pretty easy schedule recently. I don't necessarily attribute it to that so much. It's just kind of the way things worked out. Like you said earlier, Derek, the D-backs started out with a really tough schedule, and then lately it's been the Nats and the A's and the Tigers and
oh my.
and
give me those teams.
But I mean, it kind of changes this week a little bit. This Phillies team, if you look at their record, you're not scared of them, but they've played really good baseball recently. Trey Turner is really heating up.
Took 2 against the Dodgers, correct?
Yeah, I believe so. And the D-backs are getting both Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola in this series,
and Zach Gallen,
Zach Gallen. So this is a different series that the D-backs are about to play than what they've gone through over the last few weeks. Even that Braves series, if I'm not mistaken, the D-backs had both Gallen and Kelly pitch in that series. That's not happening here in a 4-game set with a very hot Phillies team.
Yeah,
and honestly, the Diamondbacks, they do have a tough test, but we've seen that the team has been stepping up in other ways. But I think that this is one of the remaining teams in the month that are still a tough battle against. They still have the Rays at the end of the month. But I mean, again, there's still a lot of winnable series this month. The Diamondbacks are still going to lose at times, and that's the one thing to keep in mind. I know a lot of people were losing their minds over Zach Gallen's outing on Sunday. I saw your tweets. I read them. Sometimes you just got to wait until an entire baseball game is played before you freak out. This team, we have very quickly just adjusted to the fact that they're a good team, and we almost expect them now to win every game, especially games against weaker opponents, right? Like, they're still going to lose some of these series. There's still going to be games like the game on Sunday where the Tigers sneak up on someone like Zach Gallen, and maybe the Diamondbacks aren't able to come back in those games. But I'll tell you, man, the confidence level on this team has to be at an all-time high. They have to be feeling it in the clubhouse. And that mindset that Torey Lovello talked about a few years ago, where you come into the clubhouse and you hope you don't lose, versus coming into the clubhouse and knowing you're going to win, is worlds apart. And right now, I feel like the Diamondbacks come into the clubhouse every day knowing that they're going to win.
Yeah.
But
40-25.
40-25.
They're 40-25.
They are 15 games above 500. I don't even understand how that's possible. But speaking of winning, you can win at Circle K because, of course, your local Circle K has the best coffee, beer, and snack selection, premium gas, and also gas entertainment. You can stock up at Circle K, America's Thirst Stop. Don't forget to get yourself a Polar Pop, or I will be very mad at you. You can also get yourself iced coffee for just $1.89, 12 packs of beer for just $9.99, and energy drinks like Red Bulls for 3 for $8 and Monsters 3 for $6. Make sure you're not missing out on all this great stuff right now. Text PHNX to 31310 to join their SMS subscriber club and get a buy one, get one free offer on 32-ounce Polar Pops. Do it right now. Do it right now. I'll wait. I'm going to wait. Go. Do it. 31310. Doesn't take that long. Head to circlek.com/store-locator to find Circle K's near you.
Derek, there's one person who didn't do it. I think
Do
we
it
have
now.
to wait. We have to wait
Okay.
maybe 5 more seconds. All right, now they did it. Now
They
they
did it?
You're
All
good.
right.
You're good.
While you're at Circle K, don't forget to also get our friends Four Peaks. Get wonderful beer at Circle K. You can get Four Peaks. You can also get Four Peaks wherever you get your beer. And they are the official craft beer of our Arizona Diamondbacks. Get that Rattle On Red Ale so you can have it for celebratory drinking purposes after these wins. It is smooth as Carol's swing. They asked me to say that, so I had to because that's. They also said it's toasty as Gallen's fastball. They're getting good with these ad reads.
Toastier,
So toastier than his fastball.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're at Chase Field, make sure to check out the Four Peaks Draft Room. As many of our listeners and as people that have attended our takeover event can attest to, it's a great place to watch a game from. So if you get a ticket, get in the stadium, even if it's a bad seat or you got somebody that's like 8 feet tall, like Fodge sitting in front of you, you can go down to the Four Peaks Draft Room and get a great view of the game from there. Check out the events page in our show notes to find dates and tickets for our takeover events as well. Fodge is flipping me off. So again, see, like if he was doing that in front of me at a baseball game, I wouldn't be able to see the field.
I don't understand how someone's getting B tall and then get hurt when you say that they're tall.
Yeah. Oh, he lords his tallness over us all the time. Sorry, you're tall. Anyway. Oh God, here it comes.
Oh no, we don't have time for this.
We don't have time for this. We can't argue with you. We
got
got to tell people about Four Peaks for Teachers. Go to fourpeaksforteachers.org to nominate, donate, or reserve your kit. Give your favorite teacher that blessing that they deserve and nominate them for an award. Nominations are due June 30th. Teachers that are listening, you can get come over and get taken care of on Tuesdays at the 8th Street Pub. Every Tuesday through July, bring a valid teacher ID and receive $4 pints. Kilt Lifter, Wow, Hazy, and Hop Knot. And those are all the best beers. So check out at Four Peaks Brew or at Four Peaks Pub to keep up with the latest at Arizona's hometown brewery. Must be 21 years or older to enjoy. And please drink responsibly. Well, we thank you guys for sticking with us for this marathon episode. We appreciate your Mailbag Monday questions, and we appreciate you as always. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Cap_Caveman with a K. Shawn is at Shawn_DePaz. Jesse is at Jesse N. Friedman. Damon is at Damon Dog with a little DAWG and a little at the end. Of course, our show is at PHNX_Dbacks, but all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I tried to steal this back earlier today because Shane isn't in the office, and Saul's such a jerk. He just wouldn't let me steal it.
Wait, that's mine, right?
Give it to Jesse. I mean, Jesse.
You got to give it to Jesse. He's the acting mayor.
Oh, man. But anyway. We appreciate you guys joining us. And of course, on behalf of this entire crew, we thank you for your time. Remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when Corbin Carroll is on your baseball team.